In this video, I'm going to use some of the keying effects in After Effects to build a puppet to be part of my animation. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a folder in which I put everything that I was gathering. It's called Sun Parts. I'm just going to click Import Folder to import in that whole folder. And in that folder are some images that I photographed separately that have different parts of my puppet on them, and that I photographed all of those with a green background. So what I did is I cut all the parts out. I'm just going to drag one down, make a composition to start out with. I cut it out from the paper, photographed it on a green piece of paper so I can try the keying effect to separate all these parts. So first of all, I just dragged down one of my parts and made a composition. I'm going to go into composition settings and just call it the sun puppet. Okay, so you see its size is based on the size of that photograph that I took. The duration I have here is 10 seconds. If I want to make that less, like just 5 seconds, I just go 5 dot, and that'll make it 5 seconds. So background color is white. That's really just a reference. I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to go OK. And you can see other parts of that puppet are on separate images. So I'm going to first key out the background here, and then I'll apply it to all those others when I bring them in. Okay, so the sun face is here. So what I'm going to do is go to the Effect drop-down menu. I'm going to, maybe I'll save this first as Sun Puppet. So File, Save As. So Sun Puppet Key, I'm going to call it. It's the Sun Puppet I'm making with the key effect. I have the Sun Puppet composition here. So I'm going to go to the Effect drop-down menu, and I'm going to first click on my layer that I'm going to apply the effect to. Go to the Effect drop-down. Lots of different effects here. I'm going to go down to Keying. And there's a bunch of different key effects, but I'm going to choose Key Light, which is how you want to key if you're using a green screen or a blue screen. It's great for that kind of keying. So I've applied it to this. I don't see it. If I open up my little triangle here, I see effects. I can double click on that. There's Key Light. And when I double click on it, it opens up in here with all the filter controls in the project window. So the second thing down, screen color, I got an eyedropper tool. I'm going to try to find somewhere in between. So I got some darker areas, some lighter areas of green. Going to maybe click here to kind of get in between. And this did a pretty good job of the keying, but you can see I have some garbage over here. This may be a little darker, and over here, this is a little darker than the area that I clicked on. So I need to clean this up. Now, to do that, what I'm going to do first is go over here to the key light settings. Instead of final result, I'm going to choose status. Now, what status is showing me is that basically everything we're going to see is white, and everything that's going to be keyed out is black. So you can see we're keyed out here, but this is gray, so it's not completely keyed out there. I have two controls here, the screen gain and screen balance. So I'm going to adjust them. I'm going to adjust this up, screen gain up, and that you can see what that's doing is it's increasing the range of the basically of the greens that I want to capture. Now, if I see some gray in here, then I'm also going to want to adjust screen balance, but I don't really need to adjust it here. I want to notice that as you adjust it up, you're going to get some areas that don't key out as well. So I want a nice balance. So what I want to see is going to be white. What I'm don't want to see is going to be black here under status. Then I go back to final result, and I see my final result. Looks like the white sun. I hardly see any of that garbage I was seeing before. It's basically keyed out all the various shades of the green. So if I click on the little effects button down here, it kind of turns the effect on and off. So you kind of see I really did a good job of keying out that green piece of paper. Even though my lighting wasn't perfect, I got a good key that's kind of left the face here and gotten rid of everything else without really losing any parts of the face. I'm going to, while I have it here, this key light filter, I'm just going to click on it, and I have a PC, so I'm going to go Control-C. If I had a Mac, I'm going to go Command-C just to copy that filter, because I'm going to apply it to other layers in my Sun Puppet. So I'm going to maybe close this key light filter window for a little bit. I'm going to look for some of the different parts of my character. So here I think I have an arm. I'm going to drag that down on top. So yeah, so now the green though, of course, covers up everything. So, but I got a good key light filter on that first layer. So once I have it, I could go through the process of, like I did before, of adding the filter and then adjusting it. But if I just go, I copied it, remember, Control C. I'm going to go Control V or Command V on a Mac and just copy that filter onto this layer, paste it, Control V. And there it is. It did a really good job of keying that arm. Going to bring the arm over here, and I'm going to use my my pan behind or anchor point tool to put the rotation point up here on the shoulder of my son. I'm going to try to find the leg of my son here. I'm going to drag it down on top of things, and then I should still have that filter in the clipboard. So if I go Control V, I should be able to paste it on, and I can drag that leg down. And I'm going to put my rotation point where the leg all comes together at the hip. And what I might want to do is I'm going to click on my top layer, hold down the Shift key, get them all selected, and just see if I can get the selection tool here and move them up. So if I can see, I can't quite get my whole foot there for my son. So I'm going to go to Composition, Composition Settings, and maybe adjust the height a little bit. I'm going to just hold down the mouse over this number value. If I click and move to the right, I'm going to make it taller. Try to get that foot. Maybe I'll just go a little bit on both, on the width too. So now I have all the parts there showing up. I did some other things. If you saw the Photoshop one, you'll see that I also have images for the mouth and for an eye blink. I'm not going to put those in those puppets because I'm going to do kind of a quicker video on this. So you could do those just like I did those other parts that I added on here. Maybe I'll put the arm in the top, and I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do is actually just click on this layer here, go Enter, make it blue, go Arm, and this is the arm on the left side. And here I'm gonna go Enter key and go Foot on the left side. Now what I want to do is duplicate these layers and then flip them horizontally so I can have an arm and a foot on the other side. So I'm going to click on my arm layer, go Control D on a PC or Command D on a Mac to duplicate that layer. And so I got arm left 2, but I don't know how to call it that. I'm going to call it arm, and then it'll have an R for right on it. So I have another arm. Now it's flipped the wrong way. Quick way to just flip it is go to Scale, and I'm going to turn off the lock here, and I'm going to put in a minus value on my x-axis, so minus 100, and that flips the arm around. So now it's where I want it, the way I want it to be. I'm going to turn that lock back on here. I'm going to go to my left foot. I'm going to go Control D or Command D to duplicate it. I'm going to enter the return key and then name it with an R, so I know it's my right foot. And I'm going to drag it over, and then once again go into Scale, turn off the lock, minus 100 on the X value, and then get it into place. So now I can do some animation on my sun puppet to move it around for a scene I'll be working on, and I can just put it into that composition when I'm ready for that. So that's a little video about using the key effect. Notice that there's other keys. I often use the color range key to basically, if I don't have a green or a blue background, to key out different colors. It works similar to the key light filter, but that's another one I use. So a little bit about keying. Good luck with your keying effects.